Good afternoon and welcome to Contino Conversations. It's my honor to be here. I'm Maureen McGrath. I'm a registered nurse. I'm also a nurse continence advisor, and I deal with lots of patients who experience such a life-altering condition, and that is leakage of urine or urinary incontinence. And today I'm delighted to have joining me here, Don, who is a patient who has experienced not only leakage of urine, but also a great solution called the Contino device. Welcome to Contino Conversation, Don. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Maureen. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to you and other people who will hear this about the possibilities of Contino.
It's wonderful that you will share your story because urinary incontinence is pretty embarrassing. It's associated with shame. It makes people feel older. So thank you so much for offering to share your story to help others and raise awareness about this great new solution, which is fantastic because so many other solutions only partially work or don't work at all. So, Dawn, tell me a little bit about your life before you became incontinent. What was life like then?
Well, practiced as a dentist for 50 years. Active life, boater, rower, skier. Um, had a have had a wonderful life, actually. Currently, I'm 90 years old, and I ran into some troubles with prostate cancer back in '05, actually, and the sequelae from that have brought me to Contino. And
Wonderful. First and foremost, I would like to say you do not look 90 years old. We'd love to know your secret, but that might be another conversation. But it sounds like an
stubborn,
active life, probably. Oh, stubbornness. Okay.
yes, yes,
I
yeah.
can relate to that. That's great.
Stubbornness and
Um,
attitude.
Excellent, excellent,
Yeah.
outstanding, and congratulations on such a great career as well. So, you mentioned prostate cancer, which
Mhm.
many men will face that in their lifetime. And I think when patients go to see their doctors and they're given the diagnosis of prostate cancer, they're just so afraid and so nervous. They hear the big C word, and then the doctor will talk to them about the treatments and then what kinds of things may happen after those treatments, like urinary incontinence, for example.
Mhm.
But oftentimes, I don't think patients realize the gravity of that or realize, or they think, oh, I'm so happy that I've recovered from prostate cancer. What's a little leakage of urine? But leakage of urine actually impacts the quality of life of somebody. So, what was your life like after you experienced your treatment and you had resolution there? But then you started to leak urine. What was that course like?
Well, I subsequent to my treatment for prostate cancer, I went for approximately 10 years with no issues. I was fully active in everything I wanted to do. And then and I'm not going to try to remember the dates, but it was in April, and I suddenly went into urinary retention. I had been told by my oncologist that my PSA was going up, so that the cancer might be returning a bit with some enlargement of the prostate. Well, it happened all of a sudden, and it was into emergency for catheterization, and a very unpleasant experience. And then subsequent to that, went through a number of uh, measures for controlling, because after the retention, I had to have a TURP, transurethral retrograde prostatectomy, where they go in, and most guys call it the ream job. And in that process, I think that my sphincter on my bladder was basically obliterated. So I completely lost control, and was
And what
into.
was life like when you lost control? What kinds of things did you experience? How did it affect you? Were you using pads? Were you Staying home? Did you avoid social situations? Did it get you down or depressed?
Right. They, I didn't avoid social experiences very much at all, but I know I went to them with trepidation because, I had several episodes where the pad I was using overflowed, and suddenly I'm totally wet and got to go home. But pads, indwelling catheter at one time, post surgical, then condom catheter and a leg bag, and that actually worked pretty well for a while. But it, it's another thing to hang around with, and it wasn't very pleasant. Um, and
And they can be less dignified, I think, than the Contino device.
you can't wear shorts with a leg bag. Well, you could, but nobody does. And you know, summertime comes, I'm a shorts guy, and just love being able to do that. But so yeah, things were kind of rough for a while, and I was trying all sorts of implements. I tried penis clamps when I had to go somewhere and didn't want to wear the bag, et cetera, et cetera. And they work. They're not comfortable after a while. And then one day I was looking up for something different in the way of a clamp, and I saw an ad online for Contino. And I thought, that sounds interesting.
So, how did your life change after you started using the Contino device?
I found that I was a bit initially disappointed because I was getting leakage, and tried going up larger sizes, which made sense to plug the hole. Um, and I went along with that for quite a while, and having to have the Contino in and wear a pad also because I didn't trust that it was going to do it okay, and experimented with different sizes again, and experimented with positioning in different places inside the urethra, and I
Hmm.
began to have success. And I would say that my use of Contino now is quite successful. It's not 100% because little things happen and you forget. There's one of the problems of using any kind of a device to control leakage. Is you got to remember to go and have a pee when your bladder gets full.
Right.
And
Yes.
it's taken me a long time to teach my bladder to talk to me. Tell me when I gotta go, and that's getting much better all the time.
Oh, that's great. What would you say to other men out there who might be listening right now and experiencing urinary incontinence, and it's having an impact on their quality of life? What would you say to them?
You don't have to just have pads the rest of your life, or a condom catheter with a leg bag, which is not 100% solution. The Contino, it certainly has worked for the inventor, and it's working for other men, and it's easy to insert, and it's easy to manage your leakage and urinary flow. You just have to pay attention, and remember to go and have a pee when you need to, when your bladder gets full. Um, and it's probably the thing that is bringing me more self satisfaction and self um, feeling comfortable about my life in my aged years that this is going to work for me the rest of the way, rather than having to constantly be worried about, oh, better go to the bathroom and get a new pad. Whoops, too late. Those
Yeah.
those
And
things
I just want to
happen.
mention the pads and the expense. Pads are very expensive, but it leads me to think about cost of the Contino. But before I go there, I'd like to ask you about, or just mention, do you think that men need to understand that it takes some patience to get the right fit for Contino, to actually learn how to self-manage it, but that it's worth it in the end? Would that be a fair statement for you?
Very definitely. Being patient, experimenting, being mindful, being remembering what you got to do at the right point in time. Yep.
What is the cost of the Contino? And also, would you say that that has been beneficial in terms of managing your, or cost effective, affordable in terms of managing your urinary incontinence?
It it's a good bargain. It's a real deal, because the what is the cost of self confidence and comfort? You can't buy that, and so to have
Exactly.
that feeling of, okay, I'm good to go, and I still got to remember, I got to go have the whole deal. You got to remember your routine, but you got to remember that anyways with pads, and the security of the Contino is, you got to try it to find out. Cost wise, I think it's $300 a quarter, if I'm correct. Um, it's something that I don't pay any attention to in my life. When something is worthwhile and it works, and I have the money, it's not a problem.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, that sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for all of the information and for
No,
sharing your honest and true story. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the
yes,
Contino conversation?
yes, indeed. Um, what One of the things other men may wonder, uh, you know, is he on the payroll? But I'm doing this because I care for how other men are doing. I've been involved in the men's movement since the early '80s, and have been in support groups and helping other men live good lives. And this is one of the ways that I can help others um, come to some kind of a solution for some of the problems in their life. And this one certainly could get people down. Um, there's nothing quite so difficult as knowing, like, I'm a singer. I sing in a choir, and sitting in the midst of a row of other men beside me, and suddenly I realize, oh, I forgot, and and you're in trouble, and it's hell, and you can avoid that by going to a product that will help control your leakage and your incontinence. And I
Of
totally
course.
support what I've been able to do with me. And don't be discouraged by the things that happen initially that make it tricky. And there's no question about that. The, it's not the perfect answer, but it's a hell of a lot better than all the other options.
That is fantastic. And I think in this world, in this day and age, people want the quick fix. They want the pill
Yeah,
or the surgery or to turn things around. But it sounds as though with the Contino device, you just need a little patience and persistence. And ultimately, at the end of the day, your quality of life will improve. Get back to enjoying those hobbies and activities that you've enjoyed. I mean, you're 90 years old and singing away. And what more can we ask for?
One final thing. Talk to other guys who have one. I've already had conversations with two men who were curious and had questions, and I hope I helped them. I don't know. I'm always honest with them when I talk to them that, it's not perfect, but boy, oh boy, it sure works. Yeah,
That's
thank you, Maureen.
fantastic. Don, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join the Contino conversation. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure men who are suffering out there with urinary incontinence really appreciate you sharing your story and giving them some hope, quite frankly, because hope is what keeps us all going. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you. I'm happy to have done it.